Americans love sports, and if your family is anything like mine, you would know that Thursday nights are dedicated to watching football. And I can't forget Monday night football. And that's not including baseball nights, hockey, boxing weekends, and don't get me started on basketball, even the Olympics. The point is, sports are a huge part of our society, but we just don't love watching them, we love playing them also. We don't put our kids in it for the enjoyment, or for the excitement, or for the rush they get. We do it because it's quote unquote good for them. And I'm going to tell you why. Today I'm going to describe to you the benefits team sports have on kids. I've been playing sports since I was 7 years old, and I know for a fact it has a lot of benefits on me. I know most of us here have been playing sports growing up, now if it was t-ball, basketball, AYSO, or even high school sports, or now college sports. I'll discuss to you how team sports teach kids leadership development, self-confidence, and responsibility. Leadership is defined as the process of influencing people while operating to meet organizational requirements and improving the organization through change. Sports are beneficial on leadership because of competition. According to Michael Ray Hopkins, competition is a motivating factor in human psychology. And one of the traits of leadership is the ability to motivate people to challenge themselves and to meet their goals. Every team has a team captain, and that team captain is the person who gives the other teammates the encouragement they need to make a certain play, or even to just tell them, hey, you got it, next play, shake it off. Here's this picture of the team captains going up for the coin flip. An example of leadership could be in soccer, deciding whether to dribble down the field or to pass the ball, or to go for a goal. In basketball, it could be dribbling down the court, passing the ball, or going for the shot. In hockey, the same exact thing. In volleyball, deciding whether to hit or swing at a set. In football, the quarterback specifically deciding who to pass the ball to and watching who's open and avoiding the defensive line. Second thing team sports teach you is confidence. Self-esteem can be enhanced by positive experience in sports. According to Healthy You Government of Alberta, coaches, families, and teammates can boost an athlete's self-esteem by creating a supportive environment that celebrates the athlete's skill development and includes positive social relationships. When I was younger, I played AYSO soccer, and after every game, when I was maybe 6 years old, after every game, the parents got together, did a little huddle, even if we lost maybe like 6-0, they still said, hey, good job, gave us little goodie bags, made me feel really good about myself, even though we actually really, really sucked. But, I mean, it helped. It made me want to play the next game, you know. Even if it was just for the goodie bag, I still was out there playing. Lastly, sports teach kids responsibility. The fact or state of having a duty to deal with something or having control over someone. In high school, my freshman and sophomore year, I wasn't able to drive, so it was my responsibility to get my parents up on time to get me to practice on time. My high school coach always said, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, don't bother showing up. I was a captain my junior year and my senior year of high school for the varsity volleyball team, and I didn't show up to practice on time one day, so my coach kicked me out. And he put me on the spot and said, as a captain, you need to be here on time, setting up, and having the girls get here, putting a good example. I let that process in my head as I walked out of my gym crying, because I was a team captain. It was really embarrassing, and my coach really yelled at me. But, I mean, it taught me to be at the next practice on time, setting up, having the wet mop, cleaning the floor, proving to my coach that I had what it took to be the team leader, and it showed responsibility. Not only did it show responsibility in that way, but I had to juggle between 6 classes in high school, volleyball, and being involved in club sports, and in clubs, ASB to be exact. Today I talked about how sports can positively impact a child's character by instilling on them good character traits such as leadership, self-esteem, and responsibility. As I said earlier, sports are a big part of our society. And with the American children participating in sports, we therefore better our society.
So, Alana, what did you think?
Okay, I thought she did really good with personal examples, but she kind of went like from like the sports aspect to just talking about herself and like examples in her like life. But I mean that's good to like relate. And then I liked how she like introduced it with like the family sports and like how literally like every night is a game night. And I think she talked really clear and at a nice pace throughout. Yes.
All right, well, that's a pretty good start. That's a pretty good start. Yeah, I'll agree with you. I like the attention device, and I think that it helps you get into the speech and speak more naturally because you're speaking firsthand from your experience, which is important because that's a lot of the supporting material that you have. I like the idea of using the personal experiences. I think that helps make it more interesting. You've got a story to tell. It's easier for the audience to relate to, and they're going to care more about it when you've got that personal touch. I do think, however, that it needs to be supplemented by some other information. So, for instance, when you talked about self-esteem, you mentioned the even when your team didn't do well, you guys got the goodie bag, you felt good about yourselves, that sort of thing. What do sports psychologists say about kids playing sports? There's been all kinds of people who have criticized sports for having the exact opposite effect. Is there any information that shows that their criticism is not really valid? Can you compare, the United States, for instance, is particularly, like you said, sports-centric. We pay a lot of attention to those sorts of things here. Has it had some kind of advantage to us? Has it produced some kind of social or cultural benefit that they don't have in quite as many other places around the world? That seems to me like the kind of stuff that ought to be supplementing your speech. I like the ideas of the personal examples. That I'm not saying that you should take those out. I'm just saying that they need to be kind of layered in with some other stuff to make it more substantive. So when you tell the story about personal responsibility, for instance, if you had an example of a professional athlete who behaved in a responsible way, or how you had somebody who testifies to the fact that they learned responsibility like you did on the volleyball team, and they translated it into their career later on, if whether it is a business leader or a political figure or some sports celebrity who's said, if I hadn't learned those kinds of responsibilities, I wouldn't be able to have done X, Y, and Z. I owe all my success to being president of the United States to the fact that I played on the basketball team in high school or college or something like that. Anything like that would kind of supplement what you're talking about, I think would add more to it. The visuals are primarily just used for transition materials. Sometimes there's kind of a little bit of a theme there, like the hands all together in that, group. I know there's a name for it. It's escaping me at the moment. What is it?
Huddle.
Huddle, yeah. But when they do the thing with the hands, isn't there a word for that?
Tunnel.
Okay. Anyway, whatever. I'm sure there's a little bit of a theme there, but it doesn't really show us anything about the subject. It doesn't add information. It just reminds us where we are and kind of what the subject matter is. So it's okay. It's not bad. I just think that there's probably some other things that you could do. For instance, the first thing that jumps in my head, just a statistical kind of thing, are kids who play sports more successful in school than kids who don't play sports? Do they graduate more frequently? Are their scores better? Do they get into college at a higher level, something like that? That would be easy to visualize statistically to add to some of the things that you're talking about there. We haven't been stressing presentation issues yet, and I just want to make sure that everybody is aware that there are only a couple of things on the evaluation form that deal with your delivery. You're the first one I'm going to mention too. Other people have done the same sort of thing. People are starting to speak from the back corner of the room here. It's like, let me move and hide behind the table here and give my presentation from back here. And that's once again one of those things where now you're not the focus, the slides are the focus instead of you. The slides should be background for your presentation, and you should be front and center. When we do the presentation speeches, we're going to focus on making sure that you get up front and center. And if you use visuals, they should always be kind of background let me refer to this momentarily, and then let's get it out of the way, and then you step forward again and be the focus of the speech. Okay, thank you.